Welcome to WRPB and WRPB Studios. So, well, you guys have been with me for years, and we're coming into our 33rd year, and you know how bad I am with diet, exercise, and all that other stuff. And I kind of bucked the system, and health is important, and should be more important to me than it is, but you guys know I already had bypass surgery. This year I had 2 strokes, so I really got to kind of watch. And there are people out there that can help you, and though I don't like to use the word coach, but can coach you through what you're going through. And with me is Erica Diaz Castro.
Yes.
And the name of your company?
Her Renewed Strength.
And what is Her Renewed Strength?
So we are a business and a brand that seeks to equip women to have time for what matters most, including health.
Right.
And really stop stressing about the to-do list, stop worrying about the things that need to get done, and prioritize the things that you benefit from doing.
Just pass them on to your husband.
That's right. If it were that easy.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so my philosophy is the DIY jobs, a nightmare, okay?
Depends.
My wife says, hey, can you just, and I look and I go, yeah, that's easy. 4 days later, we have to call someone in to do it.
Yeah.
So, is it like, what do you work on with people? I know that prioritizing is a problem for most people.
Most people.
Okay? But how does one figure what's more important than what can be put off till later?
Sure. That's a great question. I think the number one question to ask before you even get to what are you prioritizing is
Right.
What is your goal for this season? And a lot of people are thinking too far ahead, and they're not thinking about their very next step. They're not focused on what they should be focused on in this particular time. They're living in the future, and some people are living in the past still. So I think a big question to answer first is, what am I focused on, and what in my life needs to adjust or be flexible so that the things that I'm doing, the mindset I have, and the things I'm prioritizing actually support that goal being met in this particular season.
You know, I have this philosophy. In life, you have to give up a season for a lifetime.
That's right.
Okay?
That's great.
And for many, 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 many years, I lived in the past because of trauma.
Right.
And sometimes we live in the past because of trauma.
That's right.
And it took me 42 years to kind of not get over it, but forgive. Not forget what happened, but to forgive. And that opened the door for me to do other things. But prioritizing those other things is where most of us have the issue.
Yeah.
Okay? If there is a water leak from your water heater, that should be a priority other than going to bingo.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
So how does one decide what a priority is?
You can definitely start to look at what you're doing and ask yourself, is this going to contribute to getting to the thing that I'm working on in this season? Like you said, you give up a season for a lifetime. So if you think about your life in milestones, what is the next milestone that you, your family, and those who you do life with are working toward? Is the thing you're working toward something that only you need to focus on, or is it something that you need to collaborate with others on? Because once you know who's involved, you can understand where to delegate, what you need to commit to, and what you can say no to. So knowing what it is that you are immediately focused on will help you to say yes to the right things and say no to the wrong things. However,
Go ahead.
you don't want to live reactively. You want to live proactively. So a lot of people live in a way that is in response to the thing immediately calling their attention. That's not how you want to live. That's how you get stressed. That's what causes anxiety. And it really is the catalyst for a lot of people having a decline in their health. You want to live proactively and set time aside, commit to that thing, and do what it is that you say you're going to do.
Why'd you get into this?
I suffered from depression and anxiety.
Okay.
And I was in corporate America for
That's why.
over 10 years, right?
That's why you suffer with depression.
There's a lot of work. There's not enough people to do the work. And I ended up being diagnosed with cancer a month after my husband and I got married. I was in my 20s. And I realized that the way I was living simply wasn't fruitful. It wasn't enjoyable. And I asked God, what is it that I should be doing? And little by little, things started to shift into focus. I started to see that I was too busy focusing on what I hadn't done and too busy worrying about what I needed to do that I wasn't focused on what I was supposed to do right now. And that's not to say that you should only live in the present, but it is to say that you can only do what you can do, and understanding what your next right step is will help you to do the right thing.
All right, so don't live with the thought that I'm going to win the lottery and my life will change.
No,
Okay?
and even if you were to win the lottery, you'd still have the same mindset, more than likely.
That is true. All right, so you decide to get into this industry.
Mm-hmm.
You're already married.
Okay.
Did you have family support?
We were alone in California at the time, and we had just gotten married. We ended up having a child on our, in our journey, join us, and we were alone for the most part. We had some help from daycare, but we were alone, and I needed to learn how to prioritize family, my work life, my marriage, my health, of course, because I was diagnosed with cancer, and I actually opted out of chemo and radiation initially. I didn't do treatment for over 5 years.
Okay, so my philosophy here is, besides health, of course, family first.
Yeah.
So if the people that work for us here, if they have a family issue,
Mm-hmm.
go. Take care of your family first.
Right.
Because one is, in this industry, that doesn't happen, okay?
Right.
In this industry, the show must go on,
Mm-hmm.
okay? In this place here, I don't want to say I don't really care about the show,
Right.
but I care that family comes first,
That's right.
okay? I believe that you can't work properly when there's things like that going on in your life,
Yeah.
okay? For me, when I started in this industry, I got, don't be stupid,
Mm-hmm.
get a real job,
Right.
this is a pipe dream. And I was making a ton of money before I got into this,
Right.
and went into amazing debt to get into something that didn't exist, because it didn't exist then. I sold my car, I drove an electric skateboard scooter in my 30s. It was kind of ridiculous. My wife today was a listener to my show. She lived in Indiana. That's how we met. We would have never met any other way. And she makes me prioritize things, but the key in her mind for prioritizing is to write it down. Okay? Because I forget everything. So, is that, I mean, like people say, well, journal, write it down. Are those answers to prioritizing and keeping your life in order?
Those are tools that you can use. You can certainly have a calendar. Some people use planners. In the age that we're in, a lot of people are using digital resources and tools like software for their calendars, for project management, and other things to keep themselves organized. But if you don't have a system in place, those things just fall by the wayside, and they end up becoming more stressful than they do helpful. So understanding what your goal is for those tools is a really crucial step, and then understanding how they fit into your life and how you're going to actually use them is the next point of understanding you need to reach. Because a lot of people do have Post-it notes and planners and all of these random papers that they have, and they lose them.
Pick me.
And I always tell my clients and even friends of mine, please don't be a Post-it person. Have one place where you can remain organized. You can create a system that works for you, for your personality, for your productivity style, and then you can go about your business doing the things that you are actually going to do and using the things you're actually going to use.
So Edgar has a wall of Post-its.
Oh, Edgar.
But it's in one spot, okay? So he
Okay.
turns his chair, when I ask him a question, turns his chair and looks at his Post-its. But with that said, he also is very technical, so he has a CRM program,
yeah.
and he kind of keeps that in line and stuff. But yeah, he does have a wall of Post-its.
Okay.
I don't even keep a Post-it pad. My wife, who's super organized, uses Post-it,
Okay.
but she keeps it in a book.
Oh, good.
Okay, so
Yeah.
everything's organized
Right.
that way for her, because in her work, because she's a chocolatier, so she makes high-end chocolate.
Oh, great.
Okay, so if she has an order, she'll write it on a Post-it and post it on the date that it should be, and underneath that, in the book, she'll write some notes or whatever. But her book starts out like this thick, and then it's like this thick at the end of the year.
Yeah.
So she keeps it at least organized.
That's right.
Surely she keeps me organized. She'll text me and say, "Hey, what you call it? It's coming in," or Jessica, who invited you in.
Right.
She just messaged me because you messaged her
Right.
and said, what your call's coming in. So we try to keep as organized as possible.
Yeah.
I'm the worst, just so you know.
But you have a great support system.
I
and
have
that's
an
what
amazing
works.
team.
That's right.
So I'm blessed that way. I can't tell you how many times I look at my calendar on my phone every day, every 15 minutes, because I forgot. That's what happens with getting old. So you decide to do this industry. So let's just say Mary, who owns a bagel shop, and Mary is the name I always use for some reason.
Hi, Mary.
And she comes to you. What's the first thing you do?
I'm going to ask Mary, Mary, what stresses you out the most? And what is your goal for this particular season? And we can define what season is depending on the person. Maybe she's growing her business. I'm focused on expanding to a second location. Well, we need to understand what the rest of your life looks like and what it is that you're doing in all of these different areas to better understand if these things are supporting that growth or hindering that growth, and kind of get into the weeds about what's been working and what hasn't been working.
Okay, so the question to ask is, when should somebody start this process and call you?
Immediately. I think a lot of people are living reactively.
Right.
And that's why we are stressed. That's why we are unhealthy. That's why we're looking for more coffee and, something to numb our brains at the end of the
Chocolate.
day.
For me, it's chocolate.
I mean, chocolate also keeps you up at night. It has caffeine.
Well, my wife
right?
is a chocolatier, so it does always chocolate around the house.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you say that about the proactive or reactive. When I was a kid and I dated somebody, there were 3 things they had to do, but one of them was put a piece of tape on their antenna of their car. So you're young, but back then we had antennas on our cars.
I remember those.
And people say, well, why do I have to do that? And I said, because if I come to your house and there's a piece of tape on your antenna, I'll go in, I don't have to worry about anything. If you took the tape off, I know there's a problem, I'll go in and I won't react because I'll feel like most people don't want to be trapped.
Okay.
So I'll know something's not right, I'll know I screwed up or whatever, okay? And I'll go in, I'll count to 5, and then I'll go in knowing that I have an issue to deal with. So I don't have to just be jumped upon, because nobody likes that.
That's right.
Okay, so in what you do, it's really kind of similar, because maybe it's not a person that's going to jump at you, but you want to be able to act and not just react.
Right. Have time to respond.
Right, and have time to think about what the next step is, so you're not bamboozled. Okay, and it happens in the business world all the time.
It does.
Okay, so what you do is you kind of take the chances of that happening and bring it down to a minimum.
Yeah, I think I mostly help people understand what it's like to live with margin, have some buffer room so that when things go left, as they do, you have that time to pause, be strategic about how you'll respond, and respond with logic and with confidence versus just reacting out of stress, anxiety, and then having that residual effect continue to linger in your life.
Right, because I think if you go the second route, that problem is not going to go away.
No.
Okay, and it'll just shoot back up at some point in time.
Yeah.
And I think some of the problem that people have is that we have a problem and then we do something else thinking that the problem will go away. Okay, instead of taking care of it and making it a priority.
Right.
Okay, and that's one of the things that my wife says. Wayne, make a list of things you want to do today.
Right.
And then cross them off. You might not get to everyone, but
Right.
cross them off.
Yeah.
So that you don't have to think about them and move forward.
Yeah.
And I guess that's kind of in what you teach.
Right. Exactly.
Okay? And that's so important because in the economic situation that we live in and in the world we live in, the stresses are coming at us constantly.
They don't stop, right?
Yep, they don't stop. Go buy a dozen eggs.
Right.
Okay, everybody uses
Right.
the egg story.
Yeah.
Go buy a dozen eggs. And you're a young couple, you have a child, two, and that's another stress.
Right.
Okay, and you homeschool.
Right.
Okay, and that's another stress because you got to make sure that your child is learning what your child needs to learn
That's right.
for their future. The cool thing is that your child will know to prioritize. Okay, because you're not just teaching math, English. Your child is around the things that you teach over and above that.
All day.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're getting to the top of our time. How do people find you? You have a website?
Yes, you can head to hurrynewtstrength.com and connect with me there. We have a podcast where I'm teaching time management and mindset. Also, you can email us, erica@hurrynewtstrength.com.
And you have a phone number?
And we do have a phone number. It's 772-353-4024. If you are looking to talk to me live and you want to get on my calendar, we can have a chat about your needs and discuss what would best suit your goals for this season.
I've said it a million times. I'll say it again. Always use a professional. If you don't use a professional, it's usually going to cost you 5 times more in money and 10 times more in frustration. Erica, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me, Wayne. It's been great.
Everybody will be right back.